Good morning, it's Kim from Sixpenny Memories, and I'm just going to talk you through the Vliesline Quilters Grid, which is a fabulous product, perfect for creating quilts for any project you want really, and it also builds up your confidence if you are a beginner sewer. This is the Vliesline Quilters Grid. It's a fusible interfacing, a light interfacing, and on one side, can you see it has 1 inch grid marks, and they are in a like a light brown colour. On the other side is your fusible side, which is that bubbly side there, can you see? And that's actually where the fabrics are going to be positioned. So what I'll do is I'll bring you down and show you and talk you through this. Now, as I say, this is a fabulous way of using up all your scraps. If you pop it onto your pressing surface, and you can then just place on your squares in increments of 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. I'm actually just going to grab another sample here and just cover it up. And once you're happy, you can either just do it in the squares or you can create a design if you wish. You just pop them on like that. Now, these are 2 inch squares, so they're covering 4 of the 1 inch squares on the grid. And we'll just pop them on there. And then what you'll need is your iron. So we'll just pop those onto there like that. And I'll just, because I'll keep building this one up, pop that onto there. Now, the iron doesn't have to be overly hot. The good news is that this interfacing stays in, and it is washable, 30 degrees. And I'm just being careful here because I'm going to build this up and I don't want the glue to go onto my iron. So I'm just quickly popping that down. And this is what you would do, is you would just iron them on. And once they're ironed on, you can then leave them on the interfacing for as long as you want. Now, just to give you some idea of the scale, when they're finished, these are 1 inch squares which have been sewn, and I'm going to show you the sewing method, and these are the 2 inch squares here. I have lots of ideas, and there is a free PDF download on the Sixpenny Memories website, which will talk you through the method of the whole process of how to use the quilter's grid and the sewing, but I've also put on there some inspiration for you. Now, once you've got them lined up, what you're going to do, if I just go back to this one here, what you're going to do is you're going to put the fabric so they're right sides together. So this is what we're used to. And you're going to fold it along the crease. And we're literally just going to sew down that line there using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So if you can see here, I've just laid these squares on, and I've sewn all the long lengths, and you can see where the seam has sewn together. And this is ultimately going to give me really precise points. Now, when you get to this stage, you'll need a nice sharp pair of scissors, and the ones I recommend are the Prim Love scissors. And at each point where your fabrics would intersect, if you just do a little snip up to the stitch line, don't go through the stitch line if you can help it. If you do, don't necessarily worry about it, because it will get caught up the next time you sew across. Okay, so you're going to do that with all of those. And then I'm just going to go to my next Blue Peter sample, which is here. So on this one here, I've sewn all the way across the lengthwise. And what I've done is I've started to snip, so I'll carry on snipping these ones here because I'll sew this line next. So wherever there's an intersection, I'm just doing a little snip like that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to fold it so it'll fold the other way. All right. Now at this point here, we want the seams, one seam to flop one way and one seam to flop the other. So I'm going to take you over to the sewing machine and let you have a look at this. So let's take you over here, and we're just going to sew down. Now, it's very straightforward to do. You don't need pins. When I've been using a bigger project, I have actually used a quilt clips just to keep the lines straight, because obviously when it's longer, it's harder to control sometimes. But you're just going to sew, and just make sure that each time, each one of those seams, one flops one way. So I'll just get you to the next one. So as I'm approaching this seam, I've got the bottom seam, as it happens, going up. So the the top seam has flopped down. So I've just flopped that down there and sewn straight down. The bottom seam is flopped up. Just make sure it flops up, and you could use a stiletto, you could use a seam ripper, just use your fingers. Just make sure the bottom one's up and the top one is down. And you're just going to carry on sewing like that on all of the lines. So you've effectively, the first row of sewing is sewing all your vertical lines, and then you're sewing your horizontal lines. So can you see here where we've sewn that one seam goes one way and one seam goes the other? Now the next thing to do is you could just clip into these and iron them, but the tip I like is just to snip along the edge of the seams. And again, you really need to have a nice sharp pair of scissors, and I'm cutting very close. Can you see that? Really close to that drawn, that printed brown line. So I'm just taking off the top edge, going through the seams, and this is, like say, good pair of scissors, and this will just allow me to be able to press this and press all of the seams open, so that when it comes to quilting or stitching, it's not, you haven't got a lot of bulk there. So now we've snipped that, you're going to do that on all of the seams, and then we can just open this up. So we'll just grab the iron again, the ironing mat, just get rid of those bits. I'm talking about quilt clips. If you needed a quilt clip, these are the quilt clips I'm talking about. I haven't used pins at all on this project, I've not found it necessary. So with the iron, I'm just going to lay the seam down, and I'm just going to press the seam open. So I've just opened it up there, and then you'll just press that seam, and when you get to your join there, sometimes I use a pin or scissors or a stiletto just to get them opened, and you're just going to flatten that seam with the iron, and you're going to do that on every one. Okay. When you turn it over, you can see you've got a nice flat seam. Now what this is going to give you is perfect points each time. Can you see that? Can you imagine sewing 1 inch squares with a 1/4 inch seam allowance? So that ends up being a very, very small square, 1/2 inch square. You just wouldn't be able to do it. And can you see here, I've sewn all of those open. Now, somebody asked me, if you were wanting to make a larger quilt, can you join the pieces together? Well, of course you can. When you've finished your block or your piece that you've joined, so can you see here I've done a square and a square, all I would do is trim off the excess quilter's grid so it has the right edge, and then get your nice next block, place them right sides together like you would do in a traditional quilt, and sew a 1/4 inch down there and just join the blocks together. It's absolutely fine. Remember that you can leave the quilter's grid in. You do leave the quilter's grid into your product. You can wash it up to 30 degrees, absolutely no problem, and it is dry cleanable as well. So I hope that helps you. The Vliesline grid is available on our website, which is www.six-penny.com. If you've got any questions, please email in, and don't forget the free PDF download on the website as well. Thank you.